Welcome Capricorn to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 1st of April for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm showing the event chart. Let's just look at the position of the Moon because it's tucked up just behind your Sun sign in the sign of Sagittarius, which is very much about being free-spirited. But the 12th house is a tender area for the Moon, can be one that's more reflective, and it's squaring with Neptune in your 3rd house of everyday communication. It's possible through this week, therefore, that you could, if you have conversations with people, feel things about those conversations which may not necessarily be how the other person wants you to perceive it. So there could be a tendency to be a little bit anxious. Also Mercury, the planet of communication, later on Monday, despite forging itself a great link to the Moon initially, goes into a retrograde in your 4th house of emotion. So over the next 23 days, there may be times that you do want to just withdraw a little bit. That's actually possibly going to be a theme over the next 6 months, to be honest. But it's going to give you an opportunity for enormous growth. But also, you can see quite close to Neptune is Venus. And alongside Venus is the part of fortune. So as much as words or discussions can get a bit mangled, there could also be a conversation which has a huge possibility linked to it. And maybe it's going to be someone that you connect with online. The 3rd house can be to do with digital media. Maybe there's going to be a nice exchange of emails. Maybe someone's going to be flirty with you. But if you recall last week, Mars, the planet of drive and passion, moved into the 3rd house where Saturn, your ruler, has been bringing a more censorious tone the last year. But Neptune's been there since 2012. So Mars brings some good energy this week, I feel, particularly initially. And if there are things that you feel enthusiastic about, despite the potential for crosswires with Mercury retrograde and confusion with the Moon squaring with Neptune, Mars can see you up for the debate. But what about that midpoint? You can see at 19 degrees in the 2nd house, the balance of the Moon, that's the empathetic, receptive sides of this event, and the Sun, the passion and the drive in Aries. In Aquarius, 2nd house for you, along with Pluto, is about your self-worth. It's also about money. And that midpoint is squaring up with Uranus, the modern ruler of Aquarius, in your 5th house. So if you are someone who enjoys a little bit of a flutter, you can be speculative. It's said that Capricornian people are always very, very cautious. That might be true to a degree, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't equate opportunities once you assess them. But that could make you a bit more impulsive, that link. And because of that square between the Moon in a very psychological area and how you think, there could be a connection, particularly with Mercury in retrograde. But you know, if you've got something profound you want to say, something that's heartfelt, sincere, perhaps of a spiritual nature, if you are a healer or a psychic or an artist, a photographer, someone who enjoys film, the middle of this week can be so enriching as Venus reaches an exact conjunction with Neptune. Very moving to your senses. And where Saturn has created some restriction to conversation, connections with neighbours, everyday interactions have felt stilted or cool at times, this can bring some wonderful uplift. And then on Friday, Venus moves out of Pisces and into Aries, technically debilitated, but wonderful if you want to redecorate, buy some new furniture, upcycle some older pieces of furniture in a very imaginative and creative way. If you're someone who enjoys hobby, crafting, all of those things can be blessed right through to the 29th of the month. But Pluto applies to Venus in Aquarius for the first time in 220 years. Huge week. And that's in your 2nd house along with that midpoint. So it's possible that if you work from home and you're creative, some good news is coming. Also, on the same day, the 5th, the Sun applies to the retreating North Node, the point of destiny, 4th house. Something linked to your family, a property matter, your historical past, your roots, your instinctive guide can be really enriched. And also the Sun starts to edge towards Chiron, which will become exact on Monday with the solar eclipse. And all of that is what I feel is going to propel you into a new dimension over the next half year. It may be that you're going to move home altogether. It may be that you're going to develop a lot more emotional closeness to someone. You may become more emotionally available. You may learn a lot more about how you react to situations. There can be huge growth. There could be a new addition to the family. You may take on a caregiving role to someone older or to someone younger. And if you are someone who can work from home, you can do so extremely effectively with all those energies cresting in your 4th house. But what about your ruler? Well, that's met by Mars as this week draws to a close. And if there has been one conversation going on that hasn't been going so well, and it could be with a sibling, to be honest, it could be a crunch point. And however much Venus and Neptune can urge you to deal with something in the most delicate, sensitive way possible, if you really feel that someone's not respecting the sincerity of your position or not recognizing their attitudes and behavior, perhaps going quite a long way back, and they want to, have a rapprochement, they want to get the conversation going again, I feel that you will tell them quite directly what you're not happy with. So if something's been building up, particularly over the last year, a sense of injustice, it may need to get spoken out by the end of this week. Watch that you don't build up a head of frustration. You could end up feeling stressed out, headache, find it hard to sleep if you feel that something's really profoundly unfair or out of balance. But one of the things you could do at the end of this week is try to go somewhere that's very soothing to your senses. Now, it could be a local hostelry that you feel very at ease in, a restaurant, but seriously, it may be a park, or maybe you can have some moments of complete tranquility at home, turning off your mobile phone and just really tuning out, maybe getting out in nature. Those kind of things can be very good for you. But most of all, if you can align with people who really share in a close way, a simpatico with you about how you feel about things, that can be enormously healing at the end of this week and for the next 6 months. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Capricorn. I hope you have a great week. If you've yet to do so, please like, comment, share, or subscribe.